Okay, yeah, here it is on Wikipedia. After Batman Returns was completed, Warner Brothers felt it was best for Catwoman to survive, saving more characterizations for a future installment. Pfeiffer was unavailable, so a body double was chosen. The final shot of Catwoman looking at the bat signal was completed during post-production and not part of the shooting script. So I'm guessing that was either Warner Brothers' call or they had maybe already done some test screenings with it, and because she was such a popular character, they decided, how about she lives, and that way we can make another movie with her.
That's interesting. So their original idea was for her to take out Shrek and die as well?
It sounds like that, or at least have the little tease of, when he sees the silhouette in the alley.
And then that's it.
And that's it. Yeah, that's it. But that's the end of the movie, where it kind of teases that, yes, she's still alive because she's looking at the bat signal. And it's kind of that's another callback to how the first one ends with the bat signal up in the sky and Batman looking at it. And this one ends with Catwoman looking at the bat signal. So the movie, now that we're in the end of all that, do you know what bus shelter posters are?
No.
They're originally what they had were, a lot of the bus stops had like kind of a covering and, almost like a wall on one side that was open to the street.
Yeah.
There's usually two kinds of movie posters. One is called a one sheet, which is your standard kind of 2x3 movie poster.
Gotcha. Uh-huh.
What's usually in the cases, like inside the theater. And then a lot of theaters on the outside have bus shelter displays, which are a much bigger poster. It's probably about maybe 5 feet high, maybe 4 across. They're called bus shelters because a lot of the old bus stops used to have that size, and they would advertise movies in them. When they were marketing the movie and advertising it, they had single character posters, and the Catwoman ones were constantly being stolen.
Do you know what they looked like?
I think it was basically, if you look at the image on the front of the movie, the original poster for the movie had the 3 faces on it. It had Batman, Catwoman, and Penguin. Yeah,
that kind of iconic one sheet.
Yeah, I believe the single posters just had the single image of each character on it.
Oh, okay.
And the one of the marketing lines was the bat, the cat, and the penguin. And I believe they had the single character posters, and the Catwoman ones were constantly being stolen. And I don't know. I didn't get an exact number, but apparently these are worth a shit ton of money now.
That's funny that you say that, because this whole time that we've been talking about this movie, I remember back when Hollywood Video was still around, obviously. I would go to the one closest to my house when I lived in North Park, and I think it might have been 2006, 2007, because they had the Hollywood Video and then Game Crazy area inside the store, where you would just go and play video games and shoot the shit. But the guys over there, somehow maybe they had it in a storage or something, but they randomly had one of those bus shelter penguin posters, and it was
really?
Yeah, it was super oversized, but you could tell that it was an original from '92 because it was like super faded, and it just looked like it had seen better days, but still in pretty good shape. And I always remember that because I was just like, what the fuck? Because, in 2007 is like, why did you... And it was like, I think the middle of summer, they just put up the fucking penguin poster in the store for no reason. Yeah.
That's cool. I hope someone still has that. That's probably worth money.
I would think so, right?
Yeah, it should be. I mean, even though it's not the Catwoman poster, they got to be worth money. I mean, I can't tell you how many movie posters I have from working at the theater for all these years.
I have tons of posters, way more than I have room for. I'll tell you that.
All the posters I have are all rolled up in big giant tubes. It's something that one of these days I'm gonna have to go through and see if anyone wants to buy some of them, because there's so many of them, and as much as I would love to hang them up all over the place, I just don't have the room for them.
Yeah.
You know, so they're just going to have to stay rolled up in tubes forever. But those can be worth money. I mean, shit, if you go to Comic-Con, there's always, a couple of booths that are selling movie posters, and some of them are going for quite a lot.
Even though the big ones, obviously this last year Comic-Con didn't happen, but usually they had the poster areas, and I feel like that's kind of went by the wayside, unless they just put it in some other area that I haven't found yet. But I haven't been able to find like the main poster booth for a long time.
There's always one at the very end of the hall. I always get turned around down there, but I believe the west end, or maybe it's the north end. Like I said, I always get turned around. Down on that end, either the north or the west end, there's always a big one that has more modern movies. But there was a guy that is somewhere in the middle of the hall, which I usually find. But there was 1 or 2 years where I went looking for him and could not find him.
The guy with the vintage posters, right?
The guy with all the vintage stuff, yeah. Where I got my Thief poster, and I got my Jackie Brown poster.
Don't you have a Poltergeist one?
No.
No? Oh, okay.
No, I don't think I have a Poltergeist one. The two that I know I got from him are Thief and Jackie Brown. There's probably a dozen more that I would have bought, but I just didn't want to drop all the money for posters that are just going to be in a tube for the rest of my life. But I wanted the Thief one because that's one of my favorite movies, and that artwork is really cool. And Jackie Brown, obviously, is one of my favorite movies. And I always wanted that one sheet. But when Comic-Con happens again, look for the guy with the vintage posters in the middle, and if you were looking for new-ish posters, down on either the north or the west far end, there's usually a big booth. And you'll be surprised at how much money they're charging for some of them.
Yeah, sometimes the bigger ones will be like $30 plus.
Yeah. So that often makes me wonder how much what I have, how much it's all that worth. Because I got a lot. But that's what happens when you work in a movie theater for 20 plus years. You collect a lot of movie posters.
I have quite a lot of one sheets from the old Reading as well, because I knew a couple people that worked there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have a bunch of older stuff as well that's probably could be worth a lot of money, because they're the real one sheets, the double-sided ones.
Yep, they're double-sided so that the light in the cases can come through and really make them bright. That's how most of them really are. Save them, dude. Save them. They're worth money.
Yeah, I think I have everything that I've ever... Like, every poster that I've owned, I still have. But yeah, anything else on Batman Returns, man?
Just wanted to circle back to the beginning, we were talking about the original. It comes out in almost 3 years to the day after the first one comes out. Again, it's the highest. It sets the record for the biggest opening weekend. This time, it made $45.7 million. So it's about five. That's about $5 million, almost $6 million above what the original made. That record only holds for about a year because Jurassic Park sets the record the following year.
Yeah.
And I believe Jurassic Park made something like 47 or 48 million in its opening weekend. But unfortunately, Batman Returns isn't as successful as Batman. It makes maybe 90 million shy of what the first one made.
Do you have any thoughts on why it didn't make as much money? Do you think it has to do with the cast of the first one, or?
No, I think like we talked about at the beginning. I think part of the discussion on, is it too dark, is it too violent? We've hit on it a few times. There's a lot of sexual innuendo.
Mm-hmm.
I think that kind of kept some people away, or people that might bring their kids.
I see. Yeah.
I saw it in the theater with my parents, but I was maybe 12 by the time that movie came out.
So you're at the appropriate age that they're saying that you could watch it anyway, right?
Yeah, I remember my dad took my sister and I, to see the first one. But, they didn't care. It wasn't going to scare me, or, it wasn't too inappropriate for me. We're going to cover a movie, you and I, in the near future that my mom took me to. That was probably a little inappropriate.
Okay.
For me. I don't think she realized how inappropriate it was until we were watching it. And she was like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have taken them to see that movie." But I loved the movie. So it really didn't matter. But I think as she was watching it, she was like, "Oh, I don't know if this is appropriate for a 5-year-old."
5? Uh-oh.
But I don't want to say, because I don't want to ruin it or have someone pick it. I want to cover it, but...
How were your... I think you might have just answered my question before I asked it, but how were your parents on censorship for you and your sister as kids?
They were pretty good. They were cautious enough, but I remember at one point it was, "Hey, you want to see this movie? It's R-rated, but are you adult enough to not run around repeating the words that they say in the movie? And do you think you can handle, the violence or a love scene or something?" And I just remember telling them, yeah, it doesn't bother me. The word thing didn't matter in the end, because I started cursing anyways. But they were pretty good. I remember it was in the 80s, so I wasn't more than maybe 8 or 9 years old. I remember it was like a rainy day, maybe on a vacation or something, and during maybe Christmas break, I remember my dad went to the video store to rent some movies, and we came back and he was like, "Oh yeah, I was thinking about renting RoboCop for you." And I was maybe 7 or 8 at the time. I remember my mom saying, "Are you crazy? That movie's crazy violent." But, joke's on them. I eventually watched that a year or two later anyways.
Yeah, I remember. Oh, go ahead, man.
No, I was just going to say, they were okay with it. And, once I got to about the pre-teen years, I think maybe Terminator 2 was probably the first big R-rated movie that I can remember watching. That they were just like, "Yeah, you want to see it? Yeah, sure." we'll go and we'll watch it.